Welcome to the new season of Weekly Chew. And to start off our new season, we're going to show you how to make Philly Cheesesteak Sammich and juicy wedges. So let's go ahead and see what you'll need for this recipe. You will need about 12 nicely sized red potatoes, any steak of your choosing, a lemon, green pepper, Spanish onion, mushrooms, various olive oils, canola oil, eggs, Dijon mustard, salt and pepper, paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, chicken seasoning, and sub buns. Let's get started. We're going to start off by making our very own mayonnaise. To do this, we need to separate the yolks of 3 eggs from the egg whites. Of course, you can use store-bought mayo or Miracle Whip, but we're going to show you how easy it is to make your own. Once you have the yolks separated, you're going to pour 250 milliliters of canola oil into a measuring cup. Now it's time to get out the mixer. You can mix the ingredients by hand, but it will take longer than just using the mixer. We're going to add in our egg yolks, making sure we get as much as we can into the mixer. Next, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard, Now we'll start the mixer and make sure the egg and the mustard mix together well. At the same time the mixer is going, we're going to slowly add the canola oil. You add it slowly to keep it from separating. If you just throw it in there, it won't mix with the other ingredients. Once all the oil is added, we can add our spices. We'll add about half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of pepper, half a teaspoon of onion powder, and half a teaspoon of garlic powder. Next, we'll squeeze in about half a teaspoon of lemon juice. Once it's all mixed, place the mayo into a bowl and refrigerate just until you need it. Now we can move on to making seasoned salt. To begin, we'll pour 4 tablespoons of salt into a bowl. Then we'll add 1.5 tablespoons of pepper. Next is half a tablespoon of onion powder, followed by half a tablespoon of garlic powder, and finally 1 big tablespoon of paprika. Then, mix well until all the spices are nicely blended. Now we can move on to slicing up our veggies. We're going to start by thinly slicing 1 pack of mushrooms. The mushrooms, as well as everything else we're cutting, is going to be thinly cut. That way, it'll all cook faster. Next on the cutting board will be our green pepper. After we've pulled out the core and the seeds, we'll again thinly slice it up. Up next is our large Spanish onion. Just peel back the first layer, cut it in half, and then thinly slice it. Now that the veggies are done, we can cut up our steak. Like we said earlier, the type of steak is entirely up to you. But for our recipe here, we're using a prime rib steak, which is a more tender piece of meat. First, we'll cut off the bone. Then we'll trim up the steak a bit, and then cut. Now we can cut the steak into strips, remembering to cut the steak against the grain. With our steak and veggies cut and ready to go, we'll start cutting our potatoes for the wedges. Remember to wash your potatoes before cutting them. And after cutting them in half, you'll only need to cut them into a few pieces, remembering that when they cook, they'll reduce in size. For our wedges, we're using red potatoes. That's because red potatoes hold more moisture than the white potatoes do, so they won't shrink too much when cooking. Once we're done cutting, we can heat our oven to 400 degrees Celsius and let it warm up. Now we can season our wedges, starting with the olive oils. We'll add some extra virgin olive oil, as well as garlic infused olive oil and basil infused olive oil. If you don't have the infused oils, extra virgin olive oil is fine. After the oils, we'll sprinkle a generous amount of onion powder onto the potatoes, followed by some salt, then pepper, some chicken seasoning, garlic powder, and finally paprika. Now mix it all around, making sure all the potatoes are evenly coated. With our wedges ready to go, we can now evenly spread the potatoes on a large baking sheet. Add it to the oven and cook for 1 hour, flipping the wedges every 5 minutes to prevent uneven cooking.
Take off?
Yeah, see the oil in there?
During the last 10 minutes, turn the oven to broil, just to crisp them up a little. After an hour, the wedges should be done and can now come out to cool down a little while we start cooking our cheesesteak. So we'll set them aside and grab our veggies and steak.
15 seconds. Okay. Oil there.
We'll grab our skillet, heat it up, and add some canola oil. Once the skillet is heated, we can add our steak and start cooking. We're cooking one portion here, but when you do your cooking at home, you can add all of it. Here is where you add the seasoned salt, sprinkling a generous amount on the steak.
You can bring out a nail to it.
While the meat is cooking, we can get our bun ready by spreading some of our homemade mayo on it. Now that the meat is almost done, we can add our mushrooms, green peppers, and onions. We'll add a little bit more seasoned salt and mix it all around. While this is all cooking, we'll take this time to add some cheese to the bun.
Where is Jason?
Get the smack bottom. Or you'll get the smack bottom.
Once the steak and veggies are now cooked, we can add it to the bun. It shouldn't take too long for the meat and veggies to cook. Remember, since we thinly sliced them, it should only take you about 3 to 4 minutes to cook all of it. We'll grab some wedges, add them to the plate. And there you have it. Philly cheesesteak sandwich and juicy wedges. Right here on Weekly Chew. For complete recipes, log on to mocrebec.com/weeklychew, or you can check out the Weekly Chew page on Facebook.